healing by using what was deemed the dark arts in the mid-16th century resulted in a person being accused of witchcraft. This was before the start of the great witch hunts of the later 16th, 17th and early 18th centuries. At Clackmannan on 16th July 1700, 38-year-old John Scobie, son of John Scobie of Clackmannan, was called before the Justiciary Court and interrogated. It was alleged he'd gone with his uncle, James Scobie, to the south-running well at Grasmainston, around 1.5 miles from Clackmannan, to conduct magic. The well or spring was well known in the area for its healing powers, and locals believed it cured many ills. Scobie told the court that on that first night he was there with him, his uncle took off his clothes and placed them by the side of the well, but his attention was suddenly drawn to movement nearby. He caught sight of a black man coming from Kerse Mill, and when this man reached the head of Robert Stupart's folds, Scobie could hear the cattle squealing. He also stated that when he was in the well with his uncle, and his uncle was splashing water on him, he saw a brindled cat coming out of the cornfield a short distance away. The reason they'd gone to the well was to sprinkle the magic powders on his uncle while he was naked, which he'd received from his uncle's wife, Margaret Bruce. She had told him that the woman who instructed her would get a flea before he came back. The woman in question was Margaret MacArthur. She now stood before the court accused of uncanny dealings. The charm had been for Scobie to bathe himself in silence in the dead of night in a running stream, while the magic powder was sprinkled all over him. If done correctly, it would cure his ailment. Scobie continued that having sprinkled his uncle with the powders as instructed, his uncle dressed, and they set off for home. On returning to Goldney, Scobie then heard a loud noise like coaches, and by the time he entered the house, he was dripping with sweat. Margaret had told both men not to speak when coming or going, so he remained quiet. When his aunt and uncle came to his home the second night, expecting him to go once more to the well with his uncle, Scobie refused. That was until a man called Robert Reid arrived. Scobie still wasn't keen to go, but Reid persuaded him, and the three men set off. This time, they all saw the black man and the cat, then heard the cattle squeal. Now more than a little scared, they quickly carried out the deed, then started out for home. On their way back, a strong wind picked up, bending and bowing the trees by the side of the River Black Devon. When crossing the Cartaghy Burn, his uncle's foot slipped and he fell into the water. At that moment, Reid said, "The cure is lost. There is no helping of you now." They discussed the matter on the way home, as Margaret had told them that if her husband fell into the water, he wouldn't be cured of whatever ailed him. Scobie went on to tell the inquiry that Margaret had wept when told her husband had fallen into the burn. By the time the case was heard, Robert Reid was dead. Whether Margaret MacArthur or John Scobie fell foul of the authorities, we simply don't know. Did Margaret admit any guilt? If so, what was her sentence? And what happened to John Scobie? This story first appeared in the Scotsman newspaper, written by local minister Lachlan MacLean Watt in February 1907. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.